We're back in the main scene and we're going to import the window, one of the windows we have created. There are two ways of doing so. Let's go to the file menu. There's an import menu and there's something called create reference. So what's the difference between these two methods? Let's start with import. So if I click on import and then choose one of the windows I was working on, let's say the high poly one, and go import. I had the default settings on. Then here's my window. It's a lot bigger than everything else, but we can scale it down. That's not a problem. Now, I've only modeled the window. Later on, I'm going to need to texture the window. If I use import, I'm going to have to texture the window in this scene because there is no connection between what I see here and what I may be doing in the window file that I was working on earlier. So I'm stuck with doing changes if I need to the window in this scene. That's not necessarily a good way of working if you have lots of assets and you want to keep them separate. And let's say you're working, different people work on the project, so you could have someone working on the window, someone working on a separate building, and it's nice to have the option for people to work on their own file and they don't mess up, so everyone is not working in the same scene. So if you use import, you can't work that way. So what I'm going to do is delete this, and I'm going to use a different way of adding elements into a scene, which is by reference. So I'm going to go to create reference, click on the options, reset settings. I'm going to use the default options, and I'm going to go reference, and I'm going to choose my high poly window reference, and it seems to be doing the same thing. I can still see pretty much the same thing here, but the big difference is this little thing here, which means that it is a reference. What that means is that it is actually fetching this from the file in which it is stored. And if I make changes to that file, let me show you where that file is. So it's in window high poly. So if I make changes to the window in that file, save it, if I reload the reference, the changes will be taken into account. So that's a nice way of keeping the different pieces of your project separate. So I strongly encourage you to use this way of working. Alright, having done that, we have a group which is our window. All we need to do is to scale it down and put it where we want it to be. Let's go to the move tool. As you can see, the move tool for that group is located here. I'm going to want to scale it, to move it and snap it to a corner. So I'm going to use V to move the pivot point, D to move the pivot point, then V to snap it to that point, let's say. And then I'm going to scale this down from here. And let's move it. And I'm going to use V to snap to point. And then we're going to move closer, F to frame on the window. Let's say we are replacing this window, the fourth one. It doesn't matter which one, is just for the sake of doing this example. Let's frame on this. Okay, and I haven't snapped the right point, so W for move, V, I'm going to snap to this point. Let's move the window back to, let's say, about here. Then we can check with the reference image how far back it needs to be. And we need to scale it down a bit more. So R, scale it down. That's about right. Now the thing is, the perspective that we worked out from Photoshop was not removed perfectly. So it looks like the window is too small. So I'm just going to scale it a little bit. Well, as much as I need, in fact, and that should do. If I click away, the window is filling the whole space. Okay, and that is how you import a window by reference. Okay, so just for if you want to see how flexible that is, what you could do is you could save this, and I'm going to save it as where it is, where is this? Sorry. I'm on modeling 4. Actually, I'm going to show this to you. Now we can go back to this file, open scene, let's go to the window I've just imported, High Poly, Modeling 4, yeah, let's save it. And let's say that I'm going to do something silly, but not too silly that I can't undo it easily. I'm going to grab this point, move it out. Or let's do something which is a bit more useful, which is to create a material for this window. So I'm going to select the frame, and I'm going to allocate a new material, assign new material, and I'm going to make it a Lambert, and I'm going to call this the frame matte, and the color is going to be some kind of brown. I think that's the one we created earlier for the other window. Okay, and let's save this, Control S. Now let's reload. Let's go to Open Scene, and let's go back to our modeling file, and there you go. You can see the updated window.